5, 4, 3, 2, 1, liftoff.
Welcome. Now, I have to point out at this juncture that this is purely for educational purposes. I don't want to stress that any stronger than what I am, but it's educational purposes only. Please do not do this at home. Please do not copy what I'm doing. And please don't sue me. I haven't got any money. This is the periodic table. Now, I was in a conversation with Tim the Playman some time ago, and I had this up behind me, and he was looking at me over the video, and he said, "Why have you got the periodic table behind your head?" Well, this is quite some time ago, and at the time, I was actually learning how to make rocket engines. So I got my periodic table out and started to study it, and trying to remember my schoolboy chemistry. So what is the purpose of this video? Well, the purpose of this video is we're going to try and make rocket fuel, and I've been practicing off camera a little bit with varying degrees of success, but I'm not going to go on about atomic weight or atomic numbers exactly, but I will be telling you what the chemical constitutions are and what you might allegedly need to mix together. Now, there's two basic types of fuel. There's your basic sugar rocket, and then there's black powder, which is, I suppose you could say, generally used in fireworks. And in the UK, we're getting to that time of year where fireworks are, well, pretty commonplace. But anyway, there you go. Let's put that to one side. Now, before I go any further, I have to thank Cliff Harvey of RC Models YouTube channel. He very, very kindly sent me this booklet about the Messerschmitt ME-163 Comet. And you know, I vaguely remember these as a child. And I think they came with a larger magazine, if I remember correctly. I don't know what year it was. It must have been the mid-70s. Something like that. And what a lovely little book it is. Look, you know, it's got all the history about the ME-163 Comet. Now, this is the days when we didn't have videos. We just had black and white TVs, you know. And you know, people would do documentaries without using politics or anything, and it's a great and I haven't read it yet, Cliff. I will be reading it. This is go next to the bed, and I will be reading this before I go to sleep. And it also gives you some of the colour codes, you know, so the colour schemes, I should say, of how some of these things looked, was painted, and it's absolutely superb. Yeah, absolutely wonderful. Some more colour schemes there. Look at that. Isn't that great? So, Cliff, thank you very, very much. And I very, very much appreciate that. And I will be studying that heartily. Now, to the best of my knowledge, there is an original ME-163 at Cosford Aerospace Museum in Shropshire, near Shrewsbury, near a village called Shifnal. So if you ever get the chance and you're in the Midlands, they have the real thing. You'll be surprised how small this thing is. I know that they have one at Duxford, near, not Norwich. Oh, is it Norwich? Near Cambridge, in the east of England. And I think they have another one, if I remember correctly, in London at the Hendon Museum. The Hendon Museum is very good, but I think probably the best of the lot is probably Duxford. So there you go. Now then, on with the show. I'd just like to say hello to Jeff in Lower Alabama. He is becoming infamous There you go, Jeff in Lower Alabama. Hi, Jeff. Right, so what do we need? So we need, allegedly, saltpeter, and this is allegedly saltpeter. What is saltpeter? Well, they use it for curing meat. If you don't know what curing meat is, Google it, because I can't be bothered to tell you. Now, what you need to do, if you buy icing sugar, just normal icing sugar, you could allegedly mix that with saltpeter. Now, saltpeter is also known as potassium nitrate. It's largely constituents of potassium nitrate. Now, potassium nitrate, its chemical formula is KNO3 or KN03, and it's an oxidizing agent. Under the right conditions, this will give off a lot of oxygen. Now, to make something burn, you need fuel, oxygen, and a heat source. If you've got all three, you've got something that burns. Now, when they're separated, they're pretty much inert. I mean, you can put this on your tongue, it's not going to kill you. Sugar's not going to kill you. Well, you have enough of it, I suppose, for over several years. So you can put that on your tongue, and then you can add other ingredients as well, such as sulphur. Now, if you don't know what sulphur is, this is sulphur. Sulphur is a very quickening oxidizing agent. So if you add sulphur allegedly to potassium nitrate. Now, sulphur, I've written these things down by the way, so I don't forget. Sulphur, its formula is S16. And I did used to know what it all meant, but basically it's got 16 particles, I think hydrogen or something or another, and it helps the oxygen escape. It accelerates the oxygen process, and so there you are. Potassium nitrate, KNO3, you have sulphur, S16, and sugar, which is CHO, O being oxygen. Now, this is the fuel. Sugar is the fuel. Potassium nitrate is the oxygen, and the sulphur is the accelerant to help that oxidization happen. Now, if I make 100 grams using a weighing scale, by the way, these are off the top of ice creams. I just flattened the bottom out. They're quite good actually. So if you make 100 grams of, well, you can make quite a few rocket engines with this. And the rocket engines, if you buy them in the UK, they're about something like £7.50 or £8. Well, that's one flight. So if you get a burn rate of 5 seconds, I'm like, you're burning your money. It's like, why not use your own? Reuse the tube. And you've got yourself a brand new rocket motor. Now, I'm not saying it's going to be as good, but, you know, why not have an interesting time, and you might learn something. As I said, this is for educational purposes only, and this is allegedly chemical formulas and allegedly this, that and the other. So if you're going to make up 100 grams of allegedly fuel, you're going to need 67 grams of potassium nitrate, or if you like, saltpeter. Now, if you're in America, which a lot of people are, there's a certain tree stump killer that is actually pure potassium nitrate, but you can't buy pure potassium nitrate as a stump killer in the UK, because unfortunately the Irish decided that they wanted to blow people up and they made these things illegal. Thanks, Ireland. So anyway, so you're going to need saltpeter, KNO3. You're going to need very fine powdered sugar, and the finest I can find is silver spoon icing sugar. I am not promoting Silver Spoon, it just happens to be made by Silver Spoon, and I have a silver spoon. Right, so again, the sugar is CHO, and you're going to need 27 grams of that, and you're going to need 6 grams of sulphur. So 27, 67 and 6 make 100. That's 100 grams. Now then, what is the difference between that sugar motor and making a black powder with charcoal? Well, the thing is with charcoal, if you heat it or burn it in this format, charcoal only gives off heat and CO2. Now, it'll give off CO2 3/4 of its own mass. So let's say you had 10 grams of charcoal and you heated it up, it'll give off 30 grams of CO2, therefore creating pressure. There you go. But we're going to try that in a different motor. I am, allegedly. This is all allegedly, by the way, and for educational purposes. So there's your 67 grams of saltpeter. So what you want to do is, you want to get, or just mix it up this way, get your sulphur, your 27, your 6 grams of sulphur, chuck that in, like that, allegedly. And then you get your icing sugar, which will be 27 grams, allegedly, like that. And then you've got to shake it all up and put it all together. So what I'm going to do, let me set up one of these takeaway things. Right, now I don't eat a lot of takeaways. I don't eat a lot of ice creams, I just happen to have them. And you give it a good old shake. Now you want to do this for quite a long time. I mean a very long time. So I'm not going to make you wait while I shake it. I'm going to turn the camera off and give it a good old shake off camera. See you in a minute. Now, while we're waiting for the shaking to be going on, there's a whole lot of shaking going on. Let's look at this used engine and look at a new engine. Now, if you do your homework and you look into these people who do rockets as a hobby all the time, you'll find that what they do is they drill a hole that's 5.5 millimetre, or what they call 5/3/8, all the way down the whole length until they hit the plug at the end. And their reasoning is that if you do that, you're giving it a bigger surface area to burn. However, if you buy a commercially made rocket engine and you put something down the end of it, it's that deep, which is about 15 mil. Yeah, it's that deep. It doesn't go all the way down to there, which if it did, it would look something like that. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, I am allegedly, for educational purposes, going to make what I think is a rocket engine, and I'm just going to go down that 15 mil just to see what difference there is, and I'll just do some experiments with it. Now obviously this tube here, this is for the by the way, I've been told the correct way to say climate is klima. It's a klima, not a climate, klima. So I've been informed. So there you go, I've mentioned it. So here's a spent engine. So this end actually looks okay. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to leave that as it is, and then we're going to cap it off at this end here. Now, to cap it off, allegedly, if you go out and buy cat litter, put it through a blender, you get dusty clay. And if you ram it with a ramrod, it goes well hard and will act as a cap. So what I'm going to do is, I'm just going to grab a little bit of tape this end off, and we're going to put our mix or our sugar motor in there and ram it down. Now I've got to be a little bit careful here, because I ram it down on the bench, this camera's going to jump all over the place, so I've got to reposition the camera and go and get a bit of tape. Okay? Right, I'm using a different mount here, and unfortunately I think as soon as I start hammering this thing that this is going to wobble like anything, and it might even fall off. This is a contraption that I saw Cliff Harvey using. Can't seem to get his name out of my videos for some reason. Go and watch Cliff Harvey on RC models. He's making dragons and stuff like that there out of Spitfires. Don't ask me why. Anyway, so only joking, Cliff. He's a good man. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this powdered cat litter in first, just to cap off the other end. I'll put some tape on it, and I only want a little bit because it's already capped, so let's pop that in there like that. Sure it's in. Some people call this a funnel. It's not a funnel, it's a ton dish. Stop it. Anyway, there you go. Put that in there like that. Grab your hammer. I'm going to put it over the top of the leg of my bench. Hammer that down. You've got to compress it. How's the vibration? Now, this is a soft wood. If it was a hard wood, I'd give it a good old whack. And that shouldn't. No, it shouldn't come out. There you go. So let's put some fuel in. Now make sure you're not smoking or got any naked flames around you, because this is now live rocket fuel. And that would be silly, wouldn't it? Okay, so let's put a little bit in at a time, hammer it down using our ton dish. Oh, don't do that. Keep a lid on it. Woohoo! You have to be a certain generation to understand these jokes. Right, now let's grab the clay. Put the clay in. Let's see if we can get away with this. So essentially is your rocket motor. Now what I'm going to do is grab the 5.5. Actually, I'm going to use a 5. No, I'm not. I'm going to use a 4.5. Use a 4.5. Okay. I'm going to take it down to a 3. So I've taken it down this deep, about 20 mil. Okay. So now that's ready. That's ready. So what I've done is I've copied the commercial one. Yeah. Now, part of the joy is like photography. You take your films, well, you take your exposures, you send the film off, and you can't wait until the postman comes and brings them, and you can see your results. It's a bit like that. I don't know what's going to happen. 3 things could happen. Number 1, it ain't going to work. Number 2, it'll work a little bit. And number 3, it'll work really well. Or actually, there's a number 4, it might explode. I don't know. But let's wait for the next bit.
What's his skill set?
I'm watching Cliff in the workshop. I just thought I'd share that with you. He's a good guy, Cliff. I like him a lot. Anyway, let's move on rapidly. I've got to change the camera around. Hang on. Right, so Cliff will just have to stay on pause for a little while. He's live streaming. It's probably a little bit unfair of me, but I just couldn't resist it. So I was thinking to myself, how can I really test these homemade rocket engines? So I bought a cheap and cheerful rocket because I just could not be bothered to make one. And I'll tell you why I couldn't be bothered to make one. It's not because they're difficult to make. It's because you've got to get the science right. And you're thinking, well, yeah, what does it mean? Well, to make a rocket stable, you have to have the centre of gravity in front of the centre of pressure. And if you don't know what the centre of pressure means, then you're never going to make a rocket stable. And I thought, I can't be bothered to go all into the science of it. And then I thought, well, hang on a minute. This is quite interesting. Why do you need things to be the way they are? Well, I'm not going to build a rocket, but I just thought I'd go on and find out a bit more about it. Now, although I've been doing modelling for quite a long time, I never really heard of the centre of pressure. And it does apply to aircraft as well. And I'll show you some software in a little while. But all in all, I went online, found some software to find out where the centre of gravity should be, where it is, and where the centre of pressure is. Now you have to have, see, this is the centre of gravity, this is the sticker, this is the symbol for the centre of gravity. So you have to have at least the diameter of this tube length from the centre of gravity to the centre of pressure. And for as long as it's a minimum of that distance, your rocket will fly straight and true. And then I thought to myself, that's quite interesting. So I went online and I started using some software, and I actually got this design onto the computer, and I worked out where the centre of pressure is, and there it is. Now this is Estates Rocket Alpha 3. They're not particularly expensive, but the reason I'm using it is because I can put these tubes in here, set them off and let them go quite readily, rather than buggering up my ME-163. I'm not expecting to retrieve this, if I'm being honest with you. If I do retrieve it, it's a bonus, but then that's if these rocket engines work at all. But anyway, there it is. And I will go into the science of this in just a minute, because at the moment I'm reusing the old rocket engines from the ME163, and I'm just waiting for one ingredient to arrive, and I will make a black powdered version of this and see, you know, how they fare. So I'll pit one against the other. So this is your sugar rocket, this one that I made previously. I'll reuse this one and make a black powder one, and then I'll go a little bit more into the science of things, because to work out your centre of pressure, because if you're making your own, you got to work this stuff out. So although I've done algebra in the past when I studied my electronics and then electrical installations and so forth, algebra is actually not that difficult once you get into it. But you have to know, you know, your depth of your fins, the root cause and everything else. So you got D, Ln, fin, XF, CR, CT, LF, XS, S, N and XCG. And then you get your XCP, centre of pressure, and so forth and so forth, so forth. And of course, if I go into all that, you're just going to just turn off, which I wouldn't blame you. But this is a calculation by a guy called Tim Barrowman, and he came up with these equations during the 1960s for all this stuff. But there's a piece of software I'm going to show you now. It takes all that away and actually explains to you the centre of pressure on aircraft as well as rockets. Now, I'm not going to labour the point on this, but I just thought it might be quite interesting for one or two people out there. And then what I might do is, because I suddenly found it quite interesting, I went out and I bought some mega bomb rockets, and I'm going to try and work out the centre of gravity and the centre of pressure if I can. It might be quite interesting. So if you want to follow me to the kitchen there, we'll have a look. Okay, so we're in the kitchen. You'll have to excuse the washing machine's on. So this is the computer design of this. So I just put all the parameters in, and it came out the same. So this is quite good software. What's it called now? It'll come to me in just a second. So basically, once you've told it all the parameters, because this is our little chute in it, which I don't intend to use, but it does tell you where the centre of gravity and where the centre of pressure should be. And this is your rocket engine here, and of course your fins, and you put all the parameters in, which are all up here, and you just put the dimensions in, and it tells you where it should be. So if this red dot is forward of the blue dot, you got a problem. It's going to fly backwards, and it ain't going to end well. So there you go. And just to show you very quickly how you can use this software, just click into the YouTube channel there. It's the SolidWorks, that's what it's called, Simulation SolidWorks. It works for aircraft as well. It shows you how to use it for aircraft and for your centre of gravity, working out your centre of gravity, your centre of pressure and everything else. So I'm going to look into this software a bit more deeply. I think it'd be quite useful to have. So I'm going to see what else this thing's going to do before I move on. The washing machine is just about to finish its cycle. So out of devilment, I have decided to find out what is the centre of gravity and the centre of pressure on this rocket. Well, I put all the calculations in, and I've put the centre of gravity at 100 millimeters from the front there, and as it transpires, the centre of pressure is right at the end of the stick. So that makes this very stable indeed. And I'm thinking, okay, I've learnt something about fireworks. Yeah, I've learnt something about fireworks. This is why they're so stable. So if you took this stick off, this would just rotate in the air, I expect, and become very, well, they wouldn't have any control at all. So yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Well, I think it is anyway. And I don't know anybody else who's ever got a firework and said, well, let's put it at the computer and find out why it's so stable. But anyway, I just thought it'd be a bit of fun. Anyway, there you are. Well, Cliff's still on on his live stream. You've been on an hour and a half and he's already destroyed one of my stickers. I thought anyway, so I thought I'd take apart this firework, and I'll just expose this fuse here. Now this fuse, I have some of this. This is, let's see, I think it's every 3 centimetres is 1 second. So we're just about to pull this out now, see what we've got. Looks like there's some sort of stuffing paper in there. Very gently take that out. That's all that is. Can't smell anything just yet. Ah, I see, they put a U-bend in it, stop it coming out. So what you do is when you use these fuses, you bend them over at the top and push them in, and it stops them from falling out. A little tap, some blue stuff's coming out. It looks like it might be the clay, so that's quite deep in there. Let's have a look, put my thumb where I think it is. So that goes down a good 35 millimeters. So obviously when it burns, it goes through. That's why you get that delay before they go off. So this is going to give you how many seconds? Yeah, it's going to give you about 2.5 seconds. So you light it, you've got 2.5 seconds and it goes up. So I've got quite a long tube here. Now what's the diameter? The diameter appears to be 15, and it also appears to have a plastic inner there. So the cardboard outer of the plastic inner. Let's see what's in the other end. Okay, now this does appear to also have some depth to it. How deep is that? Roughly 30 mil. So if I mark that there, and I mark this one there, your actual rocket engine with the fuel, 60 centimeters. So this does nothing, and this more or less does nothing. So you've actually got that there. This is just an education, isn't it? So we cut it down. Well, the plastic piece will come off. Let's cut it down, see what happens. The clay plug at the end, which is just attached to the cardboard. I guess it's about that long. There's no plastic there, that's for sure. Aha. That's the plug. Clay plug, so the rest of it is the fuel. It appears to have balls. Okay, that's interesting. I can see the clay plug on the inside. So that's how much fuel you get. let's not waste that. Get rid of the other crap here. To one side, and this is what you get on the inside. It doesn't look very much, does it? I'll have to let one of the rockets off and see what that produces. Well, that's curious. I wasn't expecting to see these little balls. I'll have to look a bit deeper into that. Very odd. Very odd. Okay. There's the rest of the tube. So I'm wondering now. Oh, I'm really curious. Are you curious? I'm really curious now. See, cut it down slice it down the middle. So what we have what looks like a nylon tube yeah. So that fuse goes through there to the bottom there. So I'm guessing that this is, well, is it a plug? It can't be a plug because it's got no hole in it. So, yeah. I see. So what this is your rocket fuel, okay? And then the rocket fuel burns through this hole here and sets off this here, which should go pew. This gives you your effect. These are the effects, but this is obviously the rocket fuel. So I'm really curious now. What diameter is that? Oh yeah, let's get it on the under the clean edge. It's 5, 6, 7, 8, 18 mil. That looks as though if I took that out of that tube, that would fit in there. Yeah, quite a loose fit in that. I'm very tempted. I'm going to go off camera for a minute and do a little bit of exploring. Okay, I've managed to get the fuel out and it's 2.4 grams. And that's all it is, just that. 2.4 grams of fuel. I'm highly tempted to put the lighter on it and see if it will just go up. Yeah, I think what I'm going to do, do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to mix that up with some sugar rocket fuel and see what it does. Yeah, why not? And put it in the inside of that one, cap it off, and yeah. Maybe it'll do nothing. I don't know. But that's it's blue. It's a very lighter than a sky blue, very blue indeed. I wish a bit more of a chemist. I'll give it to a chemist friend and say analyse that. Anyway, yeah, there we go. Well, Cliff's still going. Gone well over an hour. There he is. he's looking at his big green wing. Even I can't talk that long. Anyway, so what I've done is I've taken that is definitely fuel. I let a bit of it off, and it's definitely fuel. So I'm going to mix it with a 50% saltpeter and 50% icing sugar, and I'm going to give it a darn good mix. So, and then put it into that tube. If I can get it done before it gets dark, I mean it's 4:15 now. If I get it done before dark, I will. If not, I'll have to leave it till next week. So, because it'll be dark by the time I get home. It's a shame because it's pretty much a still day. It'd be good for flying today, actually. But I didn't get up till very late because I've not been sleeping well, and so I had a little bit of medicine and I didn't wake up till midday. So I feel okay today. So yeah, but this stuff you really do have to mix it. Get the hammer out. There you go. Knock it all out. And yeah, there it is. It has that slight hue of blue. How about that hue of blue? Hue of blue. A blue. So I'm going to give that another shake for 10 minutes, and then I'm going to put that into the engine. Okay, so I've packed that into the rocket motor. This has a clay top to it, so I'm just going to use my hand drill just to start a pilot hole into the center there. And it's wise not to use the battery drill, even though it might be easier and quicker, because you just don't know if you're going to set it off or not. So yeah, don't forget this is a live motor. So I'll just put a hand drill in. These are not expensive, and they're very useful actually. They really do come useful. They take very fine drill bits, and the sort of drill bits that your electric drill will not hold, because the chuck is not designed to take them. So this is I think it's a 1.5 mil, and I'm just going to take it down about an inch and then hollow it out with another drill until we get to about 3.5. At the moment all you can see is my hands, but that's what I've got here. So if I do that you can see better. It's the problem when you're doing filming. Oh, Cliff's live stream is now finished. There you go. I had to laugh because he wanted 19 people to give him a thumbs up, and so okay, so I pressed the thumbs up, and he didn't give people much chance. So that's the end now. So he ended up with 2 thumbs up. I don't know who the other person was, but anyway, there you go. So now I'm going to use a 3.5. Take that out. Should be able to take it okay. 3.5, there you go. Now I wouldn't want to put anything bigger than 3.5 in there because it just won't be made for it. So nice and slowly. Probably would be better if I had a what do you call them, a vertical drill. There's a name for it, with a very slow setting on it. Get absolutely dead center. I think that's gone pretty deep. I'll take a little bit more. Clean the end of this out. I've worked with people that call these twists, and although I understand, you know, why they say these things, why don't they just call them the proper name? Because if you use these colloquialisms and you go into a shop and say, I want a twist, they say, oh, I'll put a record on and knock yourself out, you know. Use the proper names. It's a drill bit. This one's a 3.5mm drill bit. You find this in construction a lot. Ground workers use a terminology Mars bar. What they actually mean is a concrete spacer that goes in between steel works. So when they say Mars bar, you don't know what the heck they're talking about. Anyway, a bit of insider sort of information there. Clean that out. So how deep does that go? Down to there. Oh, that's plenty. Just a couple of more twists, I think. That's going in. Yeah. There you go. So if we get the fuse, bend her over, push that in. That's now ready to go. It's not going to fall out. So that'll be interesting. Now what's the time? It's 5 to 5. I don't know if I've got enough time before it gets dark. By the time I get it all in the car and get down to the field. I don't know what the weather's going to be like next weekend. Shame, it's a really good day. It really is. I don't mind. Put this back in. It's a bit fiddly now. Oh dear. I see, okay. There's a little bit. There you go. That's what you got to do, put that away. So I think this one's now ready to go. This one's ready to go. And I think before I go any further, I'm waiting for something else, an oxidised, to turn up before I make another one. So it's going to be another week now. So a week in your time is what, a second ago. So catch up with you in a minute. Right, well my last ingredients arrived this afternoon, so let's crack on with my next mixture. Now this is going to be the black powder version. There's two mixes you can use. You can use potassium nitrate allegedly at 75 grams, charcoal allegedly at 15 grams, and sulfur allegedly at 10 grams. But I've been informed if you want to make a rocket motor, you need 60 grams of potassium nitrate, you need 30 grams of charcoal, and 10 grams of sulfur, allegedly. And I'm going to add the secret ingredient, which is going to be red iron oxide. Red iron oxide, if you are familiar with your tables, the periodic table, it's basically rust. That's what it is. It's rust, and it gives off quite a lot of gaseousness, and you only need a tiny little wee bit. In fact, you need 1 gram per 100. That's how little you need, and it is a powder that will stain. Okay, So what I'm going to do is just put that there for a moment. Now I've pre-measured these out, and I put the alleged potassium nitrate in here. I'm just wondering if I should have something better than this, but I can't. Oh, hang on a minute. Don't go away. There you go. I knew I had a receptacle that I could use. Receptacle's a rather big word. So what we're going to do, I'm going to guess 1 gram of this and start with this. And I reckon that's about 1 gram. Okay, there you go. And we seal that up because this will get absolutely everywhere. It'll stain everything. Put it back in its bag. Alright. Go on, I know you want to. Oh, put me off, put me off. No. Go in your bag. I don't want to go in the bag. Yes, you do. It's bedtime. I've already just come out. Oh, I'm very sorry about that. Right, there you go. It's crooked in here. Yes, I know it is. There you go. Right, so seal that up and put that away to one side. Then we take 10 grams of black powder, allegedly, charcoal, I should say, and that goes there like that. Okay, that's one. Take 3 of these. Another one. Got a bit of a ways to go yet. There you go. Right. And we're going to add a little bit of, just to mix it up, some allegedly potassium nitrate. This bit, make sure you're all nice and on. That's it. Put that away there. Okay, I've got my tube ready. And now what we're going to do next is just clean up a little bit. Isn't it mucky? And we take this and we give it a jolly good shake, just like Mr. Punch. I know a joke about this. I can't remember. I can't remember the punchline now. What does it go? Oh, I'll try to remember for next time. It's about Mr. Punch anyway. If you don't know who Mr. Punch is, go onto Google and type in Punch and Judy. Yeah. Yeah. I just remembered it. I'm going to save it for next time because I spilt it now. The joke. I just remember what it was. But basically, you've got to really shake this up for a very long time. So I'm going to do that off camera, and I'll come back when it's all mixed up. Okay. Right. To save a lot of time, I've put the black powder in. I've tampered it down. You can see that by this. Now it's time to put in some clay from the cat litter. So let's put in a bit at a time, like that. Okay, swirl it around a little bit. Where's my hammer go? Oh, put the hammer away. Idiot. Oh, there you go. Now, the camera's going to jump around. In fact, when I put it there, let's... set on fire, it's only clay. So the last thing we need to do is to grab ourselves the, where's it gone? The hand screwdriver. Okay, get central as possible. There you go. You see that? And then hand drill a hole. That's not very square on. Let's do it up again. I think that's right now. I don't know whether you can hear the fireworks going off around me, but this is actually not my it's not causing my enthusiasm to make this, having the fireworks going off around me. What is, it's just the pure interest of, can I make my own rocket fuel and save myself a whole lot of money? How does it work? That's purely all it is. This is slightly off centre. It's a bit unfortunate. Oh well, never mind. You have to tap out the thread every so often. Just about hitting the black stuff. Definitely hitting the black stuff now. Yeah, so on the end of the thread there. One more try. We'll go by the depth of the drill bit. So there's the depth of the drill bit. It's gone that deep. So that's definitely got black powder in it. So we reached it. Okay. Swap that out, and we'll go through 3.5. Okay, here we go. Oh, I think it's hit black powder already. Yeah, it has. So what we're going to do is put a fuse in it, and there we are. So let me just mark that as BP, black powder. So it's just a case of finding a fairly windless day, and we'll go and test them. Here I are. Hi. Because if this works and it goes high, the wind speed on the ground is not necessarily the wind speed up in the air. And if it does go up, let's say 50, 60 feet, 100 feet, whatever, the wind's going to catch it and it's going to go far and away over the hills, over the hills and far away. Song in there. Over the hills and far away. So that's what we're going to do. So the next part will be in daylight, probably with my friend Henry, who's a good sport, and we will go and test it. So thank you for hanging on this long. You're probably slitting your wrists by now. I won't blame you if you did. And don't bother liking and subscribing, because I don't care. I just do this for my own fun, at my own expense, and you're just along for the ride. How about that? Okay. So I will sign off for now, and the next one will be hopefully lighting this up. And if we lose that one, we've got that one. I'm expecting to lose them. I don't care if I lose them or not. It's just an experiment for educational and what's the other one? Educational and something else, and entertainment and educational purposes. Mainly my entertainment and your education. My education as well, actually, because I didn't know anything until I started this about, how many months ago? About 4 months ago I started to look into this. Probably longer, probably 5 months ago actually. And it's something you need to take a lot of notes on and apply yourself to, and it gets more and more interesting. Anyway, I'm going to stop talking now, because you're just going to just walk away. So I'll see you in the next one. Did you hear that bang there? It wasn't me. Okay. Oh, the cockerel's gone. For anybody who wants to know, the fox had it. Everybody was very disappointed, of course. So yeah, see you in the next one, and good luck. Stay healthy. Don't do anything stupid. Don't copy me. This is for entertainment and educational purposes only. Do not do this at home. Do not copy me. Do not sue me. I ain't got any money, and if I had, I wouldn't give it you. All right. Thank you very much. Cheerio.